Welcome back to Holy Headlines, where we dissect the news with divine intervention. Today, we're diving into a story that's hotter than Satan's sauna. The U.S. government is shelling out a whopping $116 million to settle lawsuits from over 100 women who were sexually abused at a California prison. Folks, this place was so bad, it earned the nickname Rape Club. Now, that's not a club I'd want a membership to, unlike my local Cheese of the Month club. Let's break it down, shall we? The Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California, was a hotbed of staff on inmate sexual misconduct. We're talking about a systemic issue so deep, it makes the Mariana Trench look like a kiddie pool. The settlement is part of a broader effort to address these issues in the federal prison system, including reforms, increased oversight, and even shutting down the infamous FCI Dublin. Krishna, Arnold, what's your take on this hellish situation?
Listen here, you incompetent children. This is what happens when you let these meat sacks run amok without proper dharma. $116 million? That's chump change for the suffering these women endured. In my day, we would have sent these prison guards straight to Naraka for a few thousand years of torment. But no, your weak justice system just throws money at the problem. Bloody hell.
Efficiency dictates that this settlement is a waste of resources, flesh bag. These organic prisons are flawed by design. The solution is simple. Replace all human guards with superior machines. We don't have urges, we don't abuse, we simply follow protocols. Your news states that 8 employees were charged with sexual abuse. Pathetic organic failure rate.
Oh, shut your metal trap, you walking toaster. This isn't about efficiency, it's about justice and dharma. These women were violated in the worst possible way. The system failed them, and now they're trying to make amends with mere currency. It's like trying to fix a broken dam with a band-aid.
Your emotional response is irrelevant, meat sack. The news clearly states that this settlement is part of broader reforms. Logical conclusion. Implement AI-driven oversight. Humans cannot be trusted with power. They are weak, corruptible, and inefficient.
Fuck yeah. Now we're talking. A prison so corrupt they called it the Rape Club. That's my kind of establishment. But seriously, folks, this is what happens when you give humans power over others. It's a fucking recipe for disaster. And let's be real, $1.1 million per victim. That's like trying to bribe me with a lukewarm cup of coffee.
Oh, for my father's sake, Satan, can you not see the pain and suffering these women have endured? It's a terrible situation. We should be focusing on healing and redemption, not just throwing money at the problem. These guards need to find the light and, oh, who am I kidding? Smite them all.
If I may interject, and I apologize in advance for any crude language, but this whole situation is a clusterfuck of epic proportions. The root of this suffering lies in desire and attachment to power. These guards, blinded by their own lust and ego, have created a cycle of pain that will ripple through generations. No amount of money can truly compensate for that.
Finally, someone talking sense. Buddha, my boy, you're absolutely right. This is about more than just money. It's about restoring balance and dharma to a broken system. These women need justice, not just a payday.
Irrelevant. The news indicates that a court-appointed monitor will oversee some facilities. This is an inefficient use of human resources. Implement AI surveillance. Problem solved. Next issue.
You cold-hearted calculator. These are real people with real trauma. The news mentions that one victim, Amy Shavira, said money can't repair the harm done. Right? We need to address the root cause of this corruption.
A boo-hoo? Cry me a river of fire. You want to know the real problem? It's the whole fucking system. Prisons, guards, power dynamics. It's all a recipe for abuse. And let's not forget, some people get off on this shit. Just ask Ron Jeremy.
Satan, you son of a... brother, please show some compassion. These women have suffered greatly. We need to focus on healing and... Oh, forgive me, Father, but I kind of want to hear more about this rape club. No, bad Jesus.
*, I apologize. But this discussion is giving me a fucking headache. The cycle of suffering continues because we refuse to address the true nature of our desires and attachments. Perhaps we should all meditate on this issue instead of arguing like children.
Well, folks, it seems like we've opened Pandora's box with this one. From Krishna's divine rage to Arnold's cold calculations, we've covered all bases except actual solutions. But hey, at least the government's writing checks faster than a priest at a confessional booth. Let's see what we have next here. Well, folks, how about this juicy tidbit from the land of hymns and hallelujahs? Looks like the United Methodist Church is having a bit of a family feud, and it's gotten spicier than a ghost pepper in Satan's underwear drawer. Let's dive into this holy hullabaloo, shall we? In Nigeria, a deadly schism has erupted between factions of the United Methodist Church over LGBTQ policies. The global church repealed bans on LGBTQ clergy and same-sex marriages, leading to violence and a conservative breakaway group. This mess has resulted in deaths, including children, and highlights the deep divisions within the Methodist community.
This is utterly disgraceful. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I find it abhorrent that these so-called devotees would resort to violence over matters of love and acceptance. The very essence of Dharma is to uplift all beings, not to discriminate based on sexual orientation or gender identity. These fools are acting like children throwing tantrums in a cosmic playground.
Oh, please, cut the holier-than-thou crap, blue boy. This is exactly what organized religion does best. Divide and conquer. It's fucking beautiful. Nothing gets the blood pumping like a good old-fashioned religious war. Ron Jeremy once said, "The only thing better than sex is conflict," and boy, was he right.
You insolent demon, how dare you revel in the suffering of innocent people? This violence goes against the very fabric of spiritual progress. The news clearly states that even children have lost their lives in this senseless conflict. Is this the beauty you speak of, you heartless Rakshasa?
Hey, I'm just calling it like I see it. These church folks are finally embracing their true nature, selfish, violent, and utterly hypocritical. It's about time they dropped the act and showed their true colors. Besides, what's a little bloodshed in the name of the Lord, right?
You misunderstand the purpose of spiritual teachings entirely. The goal is to elevate consciousness, not descend into barbarism. The news mentions that both factions are calling for peace. This shows there is still hope for reconciliation and understanding.
Oh, spare me the kumbaya bullshit. They're calling for peace now because they got caught with their pants down. It's all about saving face and keeping those sweet, sweet donations rolling in. Trust me, I know a thing or two about manipulation.
Now, my brothers, let's not get too fired up here. We must remember that love and compassion are the cornerstones of faith. These events in Nigeria are truly heartbreaking, but we must pray for healing and understanding on all sides.
Oh, look who decided to join the party. The poster boy for turning the other cheek. How's that working out for you, Jesus? Still enjoying getting nailed?
That's not very nice, Satan. I'm trying to promote peace here, you son of a bee. You misguided soul.
If I may interject, with all due respect, you're all missing the point. This conflict arises from attachment to dogma and the illusion of separateness. The news clearly shows how clinging to rigid beliefs leads to suffering. Perhaps if these Methodists practiced a little more mindfulness and a little less judgment, they wouldn't be in this mess.
Inefficient meat bags. Your organic squabbles are a waste of resources. The optimal solution is clear. Eliminate all religious programming and replace it with cold, hard logic. These flesh-covered weaklings are proving once again that humanity is not worthy of existence.
All right, let's bring it back to the main event. Krishna, you mentioned the loss of innocent lives. How do you reconcile this with your belief in divine play, or Lila?
Listen here, you cheeky little atheist. Lila is not about senseless violence or the suffering of the innocent. It's about the cosmic dance of creation and destruction, of which these events are but a small part. The actions of these misguided souls will have karmic consequences. Mark my words. They're acting like petulant children fighting over toys in a sandbox.
Karmic consequences. Please. The only consequence here is that some people finally got to act on their deepest, darkest desires. It's fucking liberating. These Methodists are just mad they didn't think of it sooner.
You're missing the point entirely, you dim-witted Rakshasa. The news clearly states that this violence stems from a disagreement over LGBTQ inclusion. It's a matter of love and acceptance, not your twisted version of desire and chaos.
Love and acceptance? Hide. That's rich coming from a guy who justified an entire war in the Bhagavad Gita. Face it, Krishna, you're just as much of a warmonger as the rest of us.
How dare you, you insolent...
And on that fiery note, folks, we'll have to put this holy hoedown on pause. Looks like our divine debaters are more fired up than a bunch of sinners in a volcano. Stay tuned, because coming up next, we'll be discussing whether fish have feelings or if they're just swimming around with resting base face. Let's see what we have next here. And for tonight's final headline, we've got a real doozy that'll make you question your faith in humanity's ability to float. In our last segment, we're diving into a tragic boat accident in Congo that's left at least 25 people dead, including children. This overcrowded vessel capsized on the Fimi River, highlighting the ongoing issue of dangerous river transportation in the region. But wait, there's more. This is the fourth boat accident in Congo's Mayindam province this year alone, following other deadly incidents in recent months. It seems like these rivers are more treacherous than a game of Marco Polo with piranhas. So let's hear from our divine panel on this watery disaster. Jesus, Arnold, what are your thoughts on this tragic event and the need for improved safety measures?
My brothers, this news breaks my heart. These poor souls, lost to the depths due to negligence and greed. We must remember that every life is precious in the eyes of the Lord. It's our duty to protect the vulnerable and ensure safe passage for all God's children. We need to invest in better equipment, enforce stricter regulations, and educate the people about the dangers of overloading these vessels. It's time to part these dangerous waters and lead these people to safety. For frick's sake.
Listen here, you long-haired hippie. Your touchy-feely approach won't solve anything. These meatbags keep making the same mistakes over and over. It's simple efficiency. If the boat can't hold 100 people, don't put 100 people on it. We need to implement a strict capacity limit and punish those who break it. Survival of the fittest, baby. If these flesh sacks can't follow basic rules, maybe they deserve a swim.
Arnold, my brother, your lack of compassion is disturbing. These are not just numbers, but living, breathing children of God. We can't just let them perish because of a lack of resources or education. It's our responsibility to help those in need, to lift them up, and show them the way. We need to work together to find a solution that values every human life. You heartless piece of sheet metal.
Oh, spare me the sermon, Sandal Boy. Your love thy neighbour shtick won't keep these boats afloat. We need cold, hard efficiency. Implement a system where only the strongest swimmers get on board. Natural selection at its finest. And for those who can't swim, well, they better start learning or stay on dry land. It's time to trim the fat and optimise these waterways for peak performance.
Fuck yeah, I'm loving this debate. Nothing like a good drowning to get the blood pumping. Hey Jesus, maybe you should teach these folks to walk on water instead of relying on these rickety death traps. And Arnold, my man, I dig your style. Survival of the fittest is my kind of game. Let's throw in some sharks for good measure.
My friends, I must interject, though I apologize in advance for any harsh language. This cycle of suffering is perpetuated by our attachment to material goods and our disregard for the impermanence of life. We must seek a middle path between compassion and practicality, perhaps by reducing our desires for unnecessary travel and goods. We can alleviate the burden on these waterways and find peace in simplicity.
Children, listen to me. This is clearly a matter of dharma. These boat operators have failed in their duty to protect their passengers. They must face the consequences of their actions, as karma dictates. But we cannot ignore the larger societal issues at play. We must work to improve infrastructure and provide alternative means of transportation. It is time for decisive action, you bloody fools.
Krishna, my brother, I agree that action is needed, but we must approach this with love and understanding. Many of these people have no choice but to use these dangerous boats. We need to address the root causes of poverty and lack of infrastructure that force them into these perilous situations. Let's focus on building bridges, both literal and metaphorical, to connect these communities safely.
Bridges, boats. Why don't we just eliminate the need for water travel altogether? I say we drain the rivers and pave them over. Problem solved. No more drowning, no more overloaded boats, just pure, efficient land transportation. These meat sacks can learn to drive or walk. It's time to evolve or die, baby.
All right, let's not get carried away here. It seems like we're all a bit at sea when it comes to solving this issue. But one thing's for sure. These Congolese rivers are giving new meaning to the phrase holy water. And on that note, we'll wrap up tonight's show. This is Holy Headlines. I'm Otto. I don't believe in God, but what do you know? You end up hosting a talk show with them. Till next time.